Colorado's Democratic Attorney General says he will prosecute any case of voter intimidation that might come out of President Trump's call for his supporters to flock to the polls and watch closely. Now, chances are you show up at a polling site in Colorado and you're just going to be bored because, I mean, we're a mail-in state. Now, the poll watchers who later oversee the bipartisan election judges who count up the mail ballots, that's a thing, but you can't just show up for that. You have to be registered and trained. Our Steve Steger talked to unconcerned county clerks, Republican and Democrat, who really are not worried about the president's plan to crash polling sites.
And Trump, you
I'm
go first.
urging my supporters to go into the polls and watch very carefully.
Democratic Jefferson County Clerk George Stern and Republican Douglas County Clerk Merlin Klotz do not seem too worried about people crowding polling places and ballot processing centers. They both joined me on Zoom today.
We have election watchers in every single election, and we welcome them. We encourage them. We like when we hear that watchers are coming. We just want to make sure that it's done according to election rules and statute and in an orderly way.
Colorado is different. We've got a tight system. It's very secure. It's known as the most secure place to vote in the country. He was talking in general terms, and it doesn't apply to Colorado.
State law does allow up to one poll watcher for every candidate or issue group on the ballot in Colorado. It requires training from the Secretary of State, and those watchers are generally assigned by the county party or a candidate. Klotz, a supporter of the president, says he's been getting a ton of calls from people concerned about the process who want to do this.
And I tell most of them that if they're interested in an issue or a candidate, they might want to consider whether the time is better spent knocking on doors and watching, because our situation is so secure.
Do either of you have a concern that simply by saying this, that you're going to have some folks show up uninvited trying to get involved in this process?
Our supervisor election judges are trained in how to handle that. They're trained to, encourage them to be in touch with their party chairs or the appropriate parties to get certified to find those trainings.
If someone shows up that isn't qualified and doesn't know the process, we're not in a posture to just go arrest them or charge them right away for violating election law.
Attorney General Phil Weiser told me in an interview today that voter intimidation is a misdemeanor and that his office would work with local district attorneys to prosecute any cases that might come up. But he does say there aren't any cases in recent memory, and he hopes, Kyle, that won't be the case, or that will also be the case again this year, that there won't be any of those cases. And like you said, with mail-in balloting, it's awfully hard for this to even happen.
Yeah, Steve, another wrinkle this year is just how physical spaces work. Like, you walk into any building, you might see a sign on the door that says this many people at a time, or you're allowed to come in and you're not allowed to come in. How does that work at the polls?
Yeah, that's part of the reason that Douglas County Clerk Merlin Klotz says that he's cautioning people when they call and say that they want to be there, they want to see this process. He says, yeah, get with the county clerk. They have a schedule, because we can only let so many people inside the building, and you already have to have the election judges that are already bipartisan, all the people that work at that site. Plus, you need to space them all out now because of COVID-19.
All right, Steve, thank you very much.